Welcome to Studio 5. We have a very special show planned for you today. The director of the long-awaited film Respect is here with a look at this chapter of the Aretha Franklin story. Recording artist Tamela Mann is here sharing her new project. And the stars of the film CODA, Children of Deaf Adults, are here as well. So let's begin with the countdown of the top 5 stories in uplifting entertainment.
At number 5.
And I tremble.
It's an old song, but a new release from Daigle, who posted this video and shared, "I've been performing Tremble for a few years, holding on until the right moment to share it with everyone. I've always had a special connection with this song and have loved seeing the audience reaction every night. I cannot wait to get back to performing it this fall." At number 4, prayers for former NBA star Jeremy Lin, who is trusting God as he battles COVID-19. The Christian athlete sharing on Instagram, falling in the category of things I didn't see coming this year. Somehow, despite being vaccinated and having tested negative prior to departure twice, testing negative upon arrival and being really careful during travel, I tested positive for coronavirus during day 3 of my quarantine. My case is mild, but it hasn't been a cakewalk, and I can't imagine what it'd be like if I weren't vaccinated. For those still unsure, please, please go and get vaccinated.
What a great start to this week's countdown. We will pick things back up at number 3 in just a little bit. Right now, we turn to the highly anticipated summer film, Respect. It's an intimate look at a significant chapter of the life of Aretha Franklin, and it stars Jennifer Hudson in the leading role. The film's director, Liesl Tommy, is here with a behind-the-scenes look at the making of Respect.
How would you say your theater background prepared you for this project?
I love music, and I've done a lot of musicals, and I've done a lot of plays with music, and I've also been in a lot of rehearsal rooms with musicians. I love when you can sit in songs a little longer than you usually can in biopics. I love when the lyrics are actually furthering the storytelling. And I also, the scenes in the film where you see the songs being made in the studio or in, at home when she's just at the piano.
Okay.
Those are experiences that I've had in my life, working with musicians, and I just felt like that. Those are pieces that I don't always see in these kinds of movies.
How would you describe this stretch of her career? She had such a long-lasting career, and we see this stretch in this film. How would you describe this phase of her life?
Well, it's a very rich and complex phase, which is why I wanted to focus on it when she was in her 20s. When I pitched the film, I pitched it as a movie about a woman with the greatest voice in the world who was struggling to find her own voice. And, she had all those albums when she was, in her early 20s that no one liked.
Until you find the songs that move you, you ain't going nowhere.
But then when she moved to work with the producer, Jerry Wexler, things changed, and she changed, and she really started to figure out what she liked.
This song goes out to anyone who's ever felt mistreated.
Everybody assumes that she just, landed and was a superstar. She had to go on a journey. She faced failure. She was, really afraid of not making it. And I thought that was such an important and inspiring part of her story.
What did you wish for?
More hits.
I learned a lot about the gospel album, which I still to this day, I remember hearing as a kid being played in my house, and that was such a critical moment. Tell me about, I guess, the story behind that project that touched you.
Her decision after years of successful popular music, to go and record a gospel album was a radical decision. And I just think it's such a testament to her faith and her belief in herself, where she said, this is going to happen, or I will leave this, this studio and go somewhere else, because she knew it was the right thing for her at that time. And in the end, that album was one of her most successful albums. It captured the imagination and the hearts of people all over the world.
I believe I have the chills.
Do you see what she is? She's a miracle.
Respect is in theaters this week, so you can begin checking it out on Friday the 13th, a blessed day for a movie premiere.
Still to come, and just after this stellar performance. Tamela Mann joins us in Studio 5.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
At number 3. Maverick City Music's Chandler Moore posted this recent memory with Justin Bieber and Tori Kelly, performing for thousands at the Freedom Experience. Chandler wrote, with my friends, this moment was full of his presence, full of possibilities, and full of him. Justin Bieber and Tori Kelly love that we got to do this together.
And some of you, I don't know, you might not be used to this kind of atmosphere, but what you're feeling right now is the presence of God.
At number 2.
In fact, there are more realities than you can possibly fathom. An infinite number of what-ifs. I'm Jeffrey Wright, and as the voice of the Watcher in Marvel's What If, I can see what few others can.
When Marvel Studios and Disney's What If series begin streaming this week, it will include a familiar voice in episode 2. It's another project Chadwick Boseman completed before his untimely death.
A Ravager never flies solo. I said never flies solo.
Is that some kind of catchphrase?
You had me worried for a second.
And we have one more story to share in this week's countdown. We'll get to it in just a little bit. Right now, we turn from the Queen of Soul to another queen in gospel music, Tamela Mann. She's just released a new project. It's called Overcomer. And on the day of its release, she spent a little time right here in Studio 5, giving us an inside look at the music.
You ever find yourself in a place that you don't know what to say? Yeah. The things I depended on were gone. I realized I couldn't do it on my own.
And we are joined right now here in Studio 5 by the great, the amazing, the voice that always knocks our socks off, Tamela Mann. So good to have you here with us, Tamela. Your studio looks amazing. I love the backdrop, too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Look, we're trying to keep afloat, you know, with all the COVID and Zoom in.
I love it. Let's begin. I want to say you feel this is your most personal project to date?
I really do. I did a lot of writing and put a lot of time in with the producers on every song, and to me, it just feels really different. I feel like I've birthed something different out of me from the part of last 5 years of my life, of my journey with double knee replacement, dealing with menopause, and also with health and wellness, and trying to just do better for myself and not be a liability on my family. Help Me came about. I was sitting and talking to one of the producers, actually Phil Bryant, and I was just saying I realized that I needed help with my weight issues and trying to make better decisions for myself. And I realized that it's okay to ask for help and to just put my pride aside and be transparent that I'm in a place that it's okay to ask somebody. And he came back with the chorus of the song, help is on the way, and I was like, yes! And we got together and did the verses, and I really connected with it, that it's all right, because we know where our help comes from. It comes from God. But it's okay to ask for earthly help. So we did the video. My son put together the video to just let people know it's okay to talk to a therapist, but it's also good to go to the church. But we need a little both to work hand in hand.
I love the video. I want to mention another one that there's a music video out from that came out a little while ago, Touch From You.
We need to sing our freedom song. Oh Lord, we need a touch from you.
I told my husband, David, I was like, we need to release this song so it can be an encouragement. I say it's not about the accolades or, you know, even it making money. It's not about making the money. It's about encouraging the hearts of people that if we get a touch from God, because we need the Lord to heal the land.
Beautiful. How are you feeling today? Because we're sitting here having this conversation as the album is released to the public.
I feel so good because I just feel like this album is gonna help so many people because it's really helping me. It's really helping me to overcome and to conquer, that I can overcome and conquer, you know, just day to day. These are names of the songs that we talked about, that he's our healer and he's, again, the source of everything. And we wanna stay focused and we wanna finish whatever is at hand. We wanna focus and finish.
Send your
mercy and love still abounds in the world, and things are gonna get better. Y'all just believe that help is on the way and we can overcome this.
Lord, we need you now. We need you. Can you hear the voices of the people crying out? Lord, we need you now. Send your rain. Lord, we touch from.
Tamela Mann's Overcomer is available right now wherever you get your music. We have lots more to share in this week's Studio 5, and in this moment, we want to take a look at our weekly story in pictures. Here's this week's Studio 5 snapshot.
It's been a few weeks, but it's still not too late to wish Insecure star Issa Rae well. She and her fiancé Louis Diame tied the knot and pulled off a private wedding in the south of France a few weeks ago. She confirmed the news on Instagram and shared a few breathtaking photos from the big day. The romantic story is this week's Studio 5 snapshot. Just moments away.
You're the girl with the dead family? Everyone but you?
Yeah.
You sing. Interesting.
You'll meet the cast and creators of the film, CODA, and learn what it means.
And you are back in Studio 5. Grab your tissues. Right now we have a behind-the-scenes look at the film CODA, Children of Deaf Adults. In this story, 17-year-old Ruby is the only hearing member in her deaf family. And when the family's fishing business is threatened, she's torn between her love of music and the obligation she feels to her family. We're sitting down with the film's director and two of its deaf stars, Marlee Matlin and Troy Kotzer.
There are plenty of pretty voices with nothing to say. Do you have something to say?
How did you come to this story as writer and director?
I grew up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I grew up going to the North Shore every summer, and I knew that fishing community, and I knew the struggles they were facing, and there was something very interesting to me about that world and specific. And so I really liked the idea of setting this in this very American setting, which was the North Shore of Massachusetts, and in a world that I really knew well.
We see that Ruby has this gift of a voice. How do you personally, as a deaf person, relate to music? We see a beautiful connection between the two of them. How do you connect to music?
That's an interesting question. I never really think very much about music my entire life because I'm profoundly deaf. And here in the film, the daughter introduces Frank to the musical world that he doesn't know about.
You're the girl with the deaf family?
Yeah.
I just want to tell you right now.
And you sing. Interesting.
Ruby's the only hearing person in her family, and I think sometimes she can feel a bit excluded or wish that she was like them.
People don't know about deaf culture out there. They don't know about our lives. We've been through it since we were been kids. But not everybody knows about what it's like to be a deaf person. And CODA gives everybody a sneak peek into that world.
This is such a beautiful family. What is it you think Frank Rossi gets right as a dad, and what does he get wrong?
In my perspective, Frank's got a good heart, but he seems to forget the little things. He uses Ruby for communication purposes, and that takes up a lot of her life. And then Frank has to make this decision to accept what's best for his daughter. You get the feeling, observing him, that he's like a typical dad.
What are you doing next year?
Working with my family.
What was it that connected you and Jackie so much?
Looking at Jackie, I thought she was cool. I thought she was funny. I thought she was very real. But at the same time, I knew about Jackie's background. I knew that she wasn't able to connect to the hearing world.
I've been coaching for Berkeley College of Music. I can help you get a scholarship.
What's special about this family?
What I love about them is they feel like my family, and I hope that they feel, that audiences watch and feel like they see reflections of their own family.
What do you think it is about this story that is moving all of us who see it to tears? What's the connection?
I think it's probably the majority of people aren't realizing that the deaf culture out there is so beautiful. And I think that people watching this are gaining an appreciation for who we are, a respect, and connecting to us.
I want to do this.
There are plenty of pretty voices with nothing to say. Do you have something to say?
Is that your hope, that this starts conversation?
I would hope it would start a conversation that talks about the fact that there are 3 deaf actors carrying a film. And I would hope that people give us the language, the culture, and the history more respect, the respect that it deserves. But I also want people to understand we're people just like anybody else.
It's a really great film to watch in the times that we're in right now.
Required to have a hearing individual on board at all times.
People said to me that they felt like they needed this story, and that was a cool thing.
It's uplifting. I can't stay with you for the rest of my life. It makes you feel loads, but it also makes you laugh out loud.
I've had way before.
All that I need.
But I just hope that people enjoy the film as much as we enjoyed making it, because a lot of heart and feeling went into this film.
CODA is available on Disney Plus this week. We want to let you know it does contain adult language. It begins streaming on Friday the 13th. With that, we have made it to the final story in this week's uplifting entertainment countdown. Here's this week's number 1.
At number 1. The Voice, Whitney Houston, would have turned 58 this week.
My mother and father raised us with the fear of God.
And ABC News has a new special looking back on the life of the late icon, airing Wednesday evening.
I love church. It was family. It was always, praise the Lord, how you doing? God bless you, child. Praying for you. How you doing in school? It was a family thing, you know? It was a sense of belonging. And the singing, the praise, the joyful noise we made unto God was amazing.
It includes an intimate look at Whitney Houston's faith, and we have this Studio 5 preview.
Whitney's grew up in the church, and she sang from the time she was like a little bitty thing.
Church was her first audience. That's where she was able to realize that she could move people with that powerful, soulful voice.
Church music, gospel music, spiritual music, and the women, and them stories, they play a part of it. Whitney Houston, she had the ingredients.
There are certain singers, Whitney is that singer that's anointed.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug-of-war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to Studio 5. This week's soundtrack comes courtesy of another artist who's portrayed the role of Aretha Franklin on film. Take a listen and see why Cynthia Erivo's Alive is what's playing in my ear this week. On that musical note, we are almost out of time for today's edition of Studio 5. But before we go, we want to give you a reason to come back and join us again right here next week. Here's a quick look at a special edition of Studio 5.
I know what you do.
Manage singers and songwriters.
The other thing you do.
As we share, Jennifer Hudson leads an all-star cast, including Marlon Wayans and Forrest Whitaker in the highly anticipated film Respect.
I grew up in the church singing, and I didn't realize until doing research for the film how much her music was a blueprint in the gospel that we were singing in church. So she's always been there.
We're digging deeper.
Aretha, we used to climb up on the roof and sing as loud as we could to drown them out.
And bringing you more of the making of this summer hit with the film's stars.
What inspires me about her joy is that I know she went through so much. I learned so much doing the movie, and I learned how oppressed and suppressed that she was, that, you know, that she could pour herself into her art, and through her art, you know, become this legend.
Please make time to join us for next week's special edition of Studio 5. Before we wrap things up this week, we want to return to Tamela Mann for the final word for today's show. You could go back in time and give some advice to young Tamela. What would you tell that little girl?
To be more boisterous, you know, not to be afraid to speak up, because I was really shy, and a lot of things I just kind of let just bypass, not ask questions about anything. But if I could redo it, I would ask more questions.
What a word, Tamela Mann. A great final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone around you, and then please come on back and see where Studio 5 takes you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching.